सबको मेरा प्रणाम. I'm so happy to be here, Professor Watts, after almost more than a decade, I think. Today it was a bit difficult to come, but then I got a message from Professor Watts that I must come here, and I can't say no to him. Our relationship goes back several years, and I've seen whips created by him through difficult times, and the struggle continues, But today I was so happy to see Professor Watts, this whole campus, because I remember when I visited last, the construction work was going on. Only one tower was complete, and very few programs were in progress, But in a short time, this complete transformation of the campus, absolutely state of the art. And Vinith, you are taking effort, and I'm happy to see sitting in front, because I have seen the reverse always, that happens. So these are samskars, and the name of the institute comes from Swami Vivekananda. So we don't have to really speak more about it. On this occasion, Professor Priya, you did most of my job, so you explained it so well. And we have a galaxy of eminent speakers. And Professor Deshmukh, you opened it very well. So your opening remarks and the conceptualization of this whole conference is really admirable. I told Professor Watts that I'm coming for two reasons. One is, of course, my commitment and my respect to him. But other is, instead of calling it an Indian knowledge system, you called it as Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. Because when we talk about India, we get locked into that colonial mindset. And currently, the Naya Bharat, is emerging. And in that context, the conference on Bharatiya Gyan Parampara is very important. I'm very happy to see Professor Mahadevan here, who is a very rare scholar, although a professor at Institute of Eminence like IIM Bangalore. His depth of thoughts in our own knowledge systems go a long way. Professor Subbarao, Professor Birjay, and my friend and once colleague, Professor Avinash Pandey, and all the distinguished speakers who are here, and most importantly, students. I can see students, and I was just observing them. Many times, students, you can really get a feel. I can at least take a call that whether they are compelled here to sit by order or they are voluntarily sitting here with interest. So I can see the faces of the students with curiosity, and I think this is not a very common sight in many education institutes. So congratulations to all the students who could say and thought that attending a program on Bharatiya Gyan Parampara is also important. Along with your lessons in management, law, communication, and other disciplines. I am basically a science student, I am a biology student. And so I always thought that science is incomplete unless it walks with humanities and social sciences. And so I wanted to express these thoughts by way of art. Performance based on our own systems, and that's why a short film which you saw actually captures what I want to tell you. I must tell you that while science has progressed so much, and 21st century we can see cutting-edge science not only through artificial intelligence, which is now scaring us, but also biotechnological developments, which also is scaring us with CRISPR-like gene editing technologies which are coming up. But by and large, although science has progressed tremendously during especially last 2 centuries, and we have seen the Enlightenment time and the Renaissance time, if you really look at the history, by and large, the so-called modern science, has been used more for our own ego, for satisfying our own ego, our own comforts. We get all the comfort for our own profits, for our own desires, and not that much for the benefit of people or for nature. So I think that modern science, there is a time now to take a pause, look back, and see the trajectory which we have taken. Is it the right trajectory? And I thought that the direction for changing that trajectory can come through ancient knowledge systems. And ancient knowledge systems not only coming from Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, but there are ancient knowledge systems all over, because Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which was talked by Professor Deshmukh, is actually a spirit of our knowledge system here. And the book which Priyaji talked about, the Genome to Om, when I conceptualized it earlier, when I was working on genetics, at that time I read Ishavasya Upanishad, and I was stunned by the wisdom which is there, and especially the Shanti mantra or Purna mantra, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevayashyate. What is this? It says that this is complete, that is complete. If you remove something from complete, what remains is also complete. What you have removed is also complete. And I said, oh, this is the definition of genome. Because those who have studied genome, would know that whole genome, be it human or any other creature, it's complete. If you remove something, now it has potential to grow again in the original form, and what remains also can regain. So this is completely I thought that there are such hidden gems in our own knowledge systems which we must bring it back, on table. So we did this work, and the new discipline has emerged now from that small work which we did in the first thermocycler which came on the campus in 2002 in a small laboratory. That small work which we did to show genetic basis of Ayurvedic concept of Prakriti, Vat, Pitta, Kapha has emerged into an entirely new branch in biology now known as AYURVED genomics. Earlier we used to believe that if we are having some problem, doctor will give you a medicine and that medicine will be common to all. That was the general in modern medicine. I don't call it as modern medicine, because what is modernity? Modernity is evolving tradition. There is nothing like modern medicine. I call it allopathic medicine. It is essentially allopathic medicine. They call it evidence-based medicine. I will not talk about this more, because what is evidence is again becomes a question, because on one side in allopathy, several drugs which we develop, many published work which is published in reputed journal is non-reproducible. So what kind of evidence we are talking about? There are several questions which are emerging in modern science today. But the issue is today we are facing innovation deficit. The starvation of ideas, new ideas, and other than artificial intelligence, really what you see, or to some extent in genetics, there are hardly any breakthrough in discoveries are coming up. If you look at last Nobel Prizes given to last, say, 5 years or 6 years, you will see that many of them have origin in the thoughts of Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. For instance, 2018 Nobel Prize was given for autophagy. What is autophagy? Autophagy is essentially, they are telling fasting has therapeutic effect. If you fast, just fasting can cure your cancers, different types of cancers. And that kind of a work received Nobel Prize, And fasting is part of our culture, but nobody looked at fasting as a question of science. If we would have looked at it with respect, probably that prize could have got to India. Forget about that. In 2015, Nobel Prize was given to UU2 for discovery of artemisinin. What is artemisinin? It's a drug for malaria which was isolated from traditional Chinese medicine. And here in Ayurveda, there are hundreds of Ayurvedic medicines which have potential, but have we looked at it? We looked at it for some extent in turmeric or now in ashwagandha, but there are hundreds of them. We could not progress to that, to get to that level of rigor of science for global recognition, Or for that matter, one of the Nobel Prizes, I think 2018, was given for biorhythm, biological clock. What that biological clock tells you? It tells you that at different times, what we call it as prahar, your biochemistry is different in body. Different hormones secrete at different times, So why this is happening? And therefore, what you should do during which prahar, the swasthya concept in Ayurveda, dinacharya and rutucharya was the basis of that Nobel Prize. But we did not do that. What we do normally is when somebody invents, we go back to our Shastra and we tell them, oh, we knew it for 5,000 years ago. Which is not enough, which is also good, but which is not enough. What I'm saying is the knowledge system, especially our knowledge systems, the Vedic knowledge systems, the Upanishadic knowledge system, or the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. If you tell me to make a list of 5 top books in the world, I will put Patanjali Yoga Sutra as one of them. But this is the wealth of knowledge. And I say always, when I was UGC also, I used to argue with our psychology professors, without including Patanjali as a proper textbook, how can you complete your psychology curriculum? I have not seen such a profound concepts which are coming from these knowledge systems. So what I'm trying to tell you is our knowledge systems are sources of innovation which overseas people are taking advantage of. I was just mentioning to Professor Mahadevan that that Ikigai has become one of the bestseller. Who wrote it? They are Spanish authors. They are not Japanese guys, They are Spanish authors. And the same duo of authors who wrote Ikigai has last month published another book, and you will be surprised if you have not seen that book yet. I was surprised when I saw that on the bookshop in airport just 2 days ago. The name of the book is Purushartha. Purushartha, like Ikigai. Ikigai is what? Purpose of life. And what Purushartha is, it is even more profound concept than what Ikigai is telling us. So those authors from Spain, they are writing about Purushartha to make it global. And what are we doing here? We are actually not looking at our knowledge systems with respect because of the colonial mindset. We always think that whatever comes from West is good. That has been put in our mind, through our education. It has been put in our mind. I call it as monocultural dominance. We have this monocultural dominance in our mind, and we are slowly coming out of it, because of people like Professor Mahadevan who boldly talks about it, Earlier days, talking about this was also not considered fashion. Today also it is not considered, it is not digested. If you start talking about how was our glorious past hour was, no, even in our schools we have not been taught. We may have known Archimedes Eureka, but we did not read anything about Patanjali in our school. Why? So now, because of this new movement, Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, and the confidence that our Prime Minister and others are giving it to us, to talk about it proudly, is making this change. The Atma Sanman we are getting back, and that is what is very, very important. And I could see its reflection globally. I keep on traveling. The respect which now Indian passport gets on most of the country's airport was uncomparable. 10 years back, 15 years back, we never used to get this kind of a treatment on the airports, on the missions, or anywhere. So this change is happening. I would say that while I tell you, or I told you all these positive points, I also want to warn before I conclude that we should not get locked into, I call it as a syndrome, and that syndrome I have named it as self-pride and past glory syndrome. We should not really get locked into it, While we should take pride feeling about it, about our own knowledge, we should use it for the sake of innovation. Use our own knowledge for innovation, and you will have a leadership, scientific leadership in the world. I have been associated with several, not only World Health Organization, but also Lancet Citizen Commission. Lancet, as you know, one of the top biomedical journal. When in the commission we started talking about the traditional medicine, again, traditional medicine term also we are trying to find a better word for that, because term traditional medicine is having colonial connotation to that, and traditional name was given because traditional is something inferior, that was they were trying to show. So if we really want to do that, we will have to go with science and not with pseudoscience. And you will find the reflections of what I talked about is captured, we have tried to capture in this book, Genome to Ohm, where we are saying that modern science, if we go with our ancient knowledge systems, can find a right path for future progress in the best interest of humanity, well-being, and peace. So the transition from Anthropocene. Anthropocene is what you know? Anthropocene meaning we were in Holocene. These are the epochs. And the Holocene epoch, we crossed into Anthropocene much early than expected. And why that happened? Anthropocene, why it is categorized? Nature published article in 2022 wherein they gave a data. And what that data told us? That total mass on this earth, human-made mass on this earth is now more than biomass. So the total weight of mere plastic, concrete, and all that human-made mass is more than total weight of plants and animals on this planet. It's so worrying. And so we are saying that this Anthropocene is not going to be sustainable. And so if you really want to attain sustainable development goals, Bharatiya Gyan Parampara cannot be ignored. And therefore, I'm very happy, Professor Vats, you have organized this. And especially in Delhi, Delhi always serves as a role model. People all over India look at Delhi, and you in the center of Delhi, running an institute after the name of Swami Vivekananda as a mission, I think it is extremely, extremely important and reassuring. 2 weeks ago, I was in Sydney, and I happened to visit Ramakrishna Mission there. And I met the chief of Ramakrishna Mission there, Swami, who is 99-year-old. Imagine 99-year-old Swami. When I was talking to him, he told me first, he said, Swami Vivekananda said, best of the East and best of the West should come together for universal well-being. And therefore, he liked this idea of the book very much. But I said, Swamiji, what are your plans? At 99, after hitting by COVID 2 times, still he's so agile and active. He said that my plan now is by next year, I will establish a college after the name of Swami Vivekananda. So Vivekananda College in Sydney. And within 5 years, it will be converted into Vivekananda University in Australia. They already have acquired land. Government has given them land. So imagine the strength of our people. At 99-year-old, somebody is really planning for next 5 years conceiving a university in some different continent. So this is what is the strength of our history, our culture, our knowledge, our upbringing, our sanskar, I would say. They are very important, and I'm very happy that you are carrying forward those sanskars in new generation. This is a God's work, and I wish you all the best. Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Oh yeah.